Hey, this is indeed Walt from the Comic Book Men, and you're listening to the iWalter Show.
How do you copy now?
You're 10-2. Go ahead.
Hear that?
Nope.
Okay. When we were at 97, there was a large group of Middle Eastern males in their 20s. They immediately grabbed their things and started hiking away from the springs there. They're currently walking up the trail towards the Bowen Ranch parking lot. So as they're doing this, we off-sided break and just confirm you're still copying me.
That's affirmed. Go ahead.
Off-sided, and my flight officer hiked down and contacted some citizens that have been down there, and they said that all of these subjects are armed with handguns that they actually see. They were there all night, and they were up all night chanting all Akbar type stuff. At one point, some of them disappeared and started shooting what sounded like large, like long gun type firearms. However, they didn't see them. So these guys are headed up the trail towards the Bowen Ranch parking lot, and we'd like to get as many evidence as we can to make contact with these guys.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hi, everyone. Hey, this is Walter. Tonight I actually did something different because I haven't done this that I've known ever. I actually did what I would consider a linear cut tonight. Now, normally what I do is I record my show first, and then later on I'll go and put in my beginning segment and stuff. No, tonight it actually was linear, in a linear line, basically a straight line. We used to do that when we used to do video editing. You have to lay everything out the way you want it in a linear line, from point A to point B. I've never really done that with audio work, but tonight I decided to. And the reason is because it is April 2nd, and I'll explain in a minute why I wasn't on for a week or so. I was, but this I needed to bring to my attention, bring to people's attention. I don't mean to bring it to my attention. I complain about this stuff all the time. Nobody probably really listens or takes me seriously, I'm sure. But this is something that's no joke. It's not an April Fool's gag. But I found this. Let me turn up. I can't hear myself, so give me a minute. See if that works. Yeah, that works much better. I had to turn up my headset. But this was actually on Overpass for America on, let's see the date again. I had it March 29th. Today is the 2nd. So most people are thinking, well, this can't be for real. That segment at the beginning is not a joke. That was for real. And it was in San Bernardino, where that was an actual, police dispatch, or whatever you want to call it, that was called in. So that's not made up. It's not just a gag. I mean, God, I was looking on Facebook, and most of the articles, I fell for most of them because they were fake. I mean, they were kind of obviously fake, but I was, it's one of those wishful thinking ones, especially the one where Hillary Clinton finally getting what she deserved and getting sent to jail. That one was fake. And some other ones that were just as unfortunately fictional or, yeah, they were fakes. How's that? Put it in lack of a better word. So, I told you I would explain why I was off for about almost a week, or at least 3 or 4 days. I don't know, about a week. So I promised I'll get back to that. Let me just check my levels because, hey, I've never done a show where I just basically laid everything out right away. And it's kind of dangerous when I'm doing that because I can't fix anything this way. Anyway, you can find us again. It was on Overpass for America, Standing with the Constitution. And it was on March 29th. And this was no joke. You can't even say, it was done right before April 1st. No, it was the 29th. And that's a real call. Now, if you heard that, again, this is not made up. And this kind of made me think a lot. Now, I want to just point out, Matt, my friend Matt, I do appreciate, he did send me a bunch of stuff I guess he figured I could use for a show, which I would love to. I will. Even if I get Matt later this afternoon to do a show with me, hey, I'm more than willing to go over this stuff or even do, play the sound bites and we can discuss them. But this, to me, I've been off for a long time. I haven't been able to vent my opinions or say anything, and I'll explain that in a second. I saw this article, and out of all the goofy BS I saw online where people are having a field day with, and I take things very seriously. I'm sorry, that's just me. I take things very, very seriously. And, this one was buried from a couple days ago because, well, let me just tell you, I was sick. I was really, really sick. I was running I'm pretty much borderline high fever. And I was bedridden for 2 days. And I'll go. But I saw this, and it was like, this can't be for real. Maybe this is another one of these things. And I looked at the date. It was like, oh, my God, this is for real. Now, the thing that it's comical about this whole thing, it said Apple Valley is where this had taken place, but it was actually what I just mentioned. I think I said, if I can pronounce it correctly again, San Bernardino. And it's for real. And, authorities were, it was brought to the authorities' attention that there was a bunch of people that obviously were part of this whole ISIS thing. So, call was dispatched, 911 call, and the cops went out to investigate. They were checked out. Now, these were definitely terrorists. These were ISIS people. So the cops checked. They were, had ammo. They were chanting in their native tongue. And, obviously they're getting prepared to do something. So this just shows you how our country is so backwards and so desperate to be politically correct. They looked into it. They checked their guns. And apparently their guns were all licensed except one. So they let them go. And these guys were they were obvious. Again, it says, there's a quote here. It says they were up all night chanting Allah Akbar type stuff. That's what it says. And, it was 17 men that were eventually, it says, quote unquote, there were 17 men and all of them were released because they couldn't hold them on anything because the guns checked out except one. Now, this is just really scary. I mean, this is our society. And I'm thinking about this. This brought, rose a red flag, it raises a red flag for me. Maybe nobody else because everybody's so heavily involved about being politically correct and how they're being mistreated and, how America is so unfair to most Native Americans. No, that's not even a good word. People born in this country. How people that are born in this country were either mistreated, depending on their sex or their personal beliefs in sex or religion, or their ethnicity, or some other type of nonsense. And, it just makes me think, honestly. I mean, if anything, Matt would get mad for me to, be mad in me saying this, but in some ways, I hate to say it, I almost I'm not being serious when what I'm about to mention, but I almost have respect for these people in some sense of the word, not in the way that hey, these people disbelieve in Christianity because I'm technically a Christian, they disagree with homosexuality, which I don't really care for, but it doesn't, mean that I want to go kill people that are homosexuals. They don't believe in women's rights. They treat women like dog shit. But women in this country think, well, that's besides the point. These people are entitled to their freedom of choice, even in our country, if it means destroying our beliefs of equality, because that's what's getting destroyed. Equality, be able to speak your freedom of speech, because that's all going to get destroyed if you let ISIS take over. And if you're a woman, you're basically are a possession. You're not be able to have your own free will. They don't see that stuff. Well, they know it's there, but they feel like, well, if we take that away from them, we're not being fair to them. We're being disrespectful. So we're supposed to repress our beliefs, subside underneath these people like they are superior to us because of the liberals, the liberal parties out there, the people who believe in this perfect utopia or whatever, or this belief that Republicans are the ones that are the repressors, not the Democrats, even though it's the complete opposite. So I saw this and it blew my mind. And it doesn't surprise me, though. And I'll explain in a minute also about that. I'm going in too many different directions already. But the reason I respect these people, because one thing they do serve is they serve a common goal together. So, and before I go any further, I'm going to explain again. I was sick the other day. I heard there's something going around because I don't want to go too far and really just go in 5 different directions, which I've already went in 3, and then forget about what I was actually, forget about everything, because I've done that many a times. So, but I was really sick. I don't know what happened. I've been back at work for 3 weeks, and one morning I got up, and I was like, it felt like an oven in the house. I thought I live with my parents, I thought they turned the thermostats up in the house. Because I was sweating so bad. I'm not sweating, no. I was just really, really hot. I could barely move. I was heated up. My mother told me, she says, "Oh, well, you're probably all upset and overworking yourself, get myself overexcited about work, getting upset about it already, blah blah blah." Which I am upset about work. Trust me. The more I find out how much they had taken advantage of me, certain particular people at my job, and they're now doing it. Some person I worked with tonight, that I know it's not just me. That there's enough there to get me upset, but to cause me to have a high fever or get that sick, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, it's psychosomatic. Well, maybe you're right, but are you a doctor that can, clarify? I mean, justify your accusations against me? Probably not. If you have a doctorate degree or some type of degree or a degree in psychology or psychiatry that can justify you thinking that way, then I'd have to believe you. But I did go to a doctor. I went to my family doctor, and my family doctor has another doctor working for him now, and a woman doctor, and she checked me. She did my vitals, and she said, "Yeah, you have an infection in your throat. You have a sinus infection, and you're running a fever of 103." So again, if you have a degree that can say, "Well, you know what? I can prove that, Walter, you're making this is all psychosomatic, that you actually convinced yourself to get sick." Well, if you can prove that, then I will give you $100 for the hour session, but you better have it all documented. Look it up in the DSM-3R book, which I think it's the DSM-4 book, to justify your accusations, and then come back to me. But if you don't have that stuff, or you don't have a degree, then best to what do you call it? Stick with what the doctor had told me, which I kind of I'm sticking with, because I at least don't take all my faith out of the doctor. And I was extremely hot. It went away for a little bit. She even told me to take some aspirin. She got me some medicine. She said aspirins will knock your fever out. And I thought she didn't know what she was talking about. Young, new doctor. I didn't think she knew what she was talking about. But the medicine she gave me, the aspirins, what she told me to do, she also told me not to eat anything the first day because I was extremely sick. Anything I would have ate would have just came right back up to or from my mouth. Or I mean, out of my mouth or out the other end is what I meant to say. It would have just came out. It would have just been spewing out the front end or the back end, to say the least. And I even told my parents that, because I have a mother who's just overly worried about me. And I said, listen, the doctor told me not to eat anything. Just stay on liquids. Drink Gatorade for electrolytes. Don't touch anything else. Don't eat any solid foods. And if you do decide to eat later on at night, nothing more than toast. And maybe a banana afterwards. But nothing else. So my mother asked me, do you want anything to eat? And she says, oh, do you want this? Do you want that? And I was like, no. Finally, I caved in, and she said, oh, well, they have battered fish and chips and stuff. I was like, well, that I'll probably go for. Biggest mistake I made in my life. My fever came back. I got sick as a dog. I was tasting this, fish and chips, all the rest of the night. And the fever just, went back up again. It was starting to kind of break a little bit, but it went back to where it was. So, bottom line, the doctor's right, but I had to call out for 2 days from my job, and it's a problem where I work because you call out sick, it's going to be held against you. You're going to get paid for your days off, but you're going to also have it held. You're going to be held accountable. That if you call out even for a straight week, you might as well not bother come back to work. You're gone. You no longer have a job where I work. So it's very harsh, and the reason they did that was because too many people used to take sick time they'd have. They would accumulate their sick time, accumulate their vacation time. We even get what's called personal time. Most places do that. Some places only give you either or, and you just use it as you choose. Our place, they use it all, including sick time, as vacation time. So if you can accumulate, just say hypothetically, 2 months, 3 months of sick time, vacation time, and personal time, well, people will blow through it all. They'll go 3 months of just being off for vacation, then change it into sick time, and then change it into personal time. They've done that stuff. So the company I work for finally got to the point that it's like, listen, if you want to call out sick, you can, but you're going to have to justify that you're sick. And if you can't, well, that's too bad, because then, unfortunately, you're gonna be fired. Bottom line, we're not fooling anymore. We're not playing any more games. So, unfortunately, I just thought of this. I had some paperwork I had to get filled out, which I don't know if I can get it filled out yet. I probably won't find out until next week anyway, but I left it at work. Not important anyway, because it's not going to do me any good this weekend. If I get it filled out and find out they won't accept it, then it was a waste of my money and time just to get it filled out, and the waste of the doctor's time. Because I got to take a pile of paperwork to the doctor to justify my sickness. It's more than just a doctor's note. It's a lot more involved. So anyway, that was why I was off. I mean, I was sicker than a dog. I mean, again, my fever was 103. Couldn't hold anything down. I tried to even eat lettuce the one night. I ate a salad that I didn't eat the day before, just lettuce. And I couldn't even hold that down. I was that sick. So today was actually, I'm back to a normal, eating behaviors. Probably not the best, but after not eating for 48 hours, trust me, I think at this point I would probably even eat dog shit, because it's like, I'm just sick and tired of Gatorade. I actually bought at Walmart. I bought 2 cases of Gatorade, 2 small things. I'll go through them because it's better for you anyway. To drink Gatorade as well, especially when I'm working. So anyway, that was that. Now, to explain myself now, don't get me wrong. Just because I said I respect ISIS, I don't mean it the way it sounds. Well, you're probably going to say, well, what do you mean if you say you respect them? You must mean you want to support the ISIS movement like some of these jerks in U.S. do. No, absolutely, I do not support them in that way. The reason I say I respect them, though, is because one thing they can do, which was the same thing I was thinking about because I've been watching the Hogan's Heroes series. I'm actually almost done, and that's not the point. What is Hogan's Heroes based upon? It's based upon the world, many different countries, minus USSR at the time, or Russia, and other part of the socialist republic, minus them, or even they were too, in their own different, they had their own cause, but the whole purpose was you had the free world, you had Nazi Germany, and then you also had, making sure this is still going, Nazi Germany, and you also had the USSR. You had Stalin, you had Hitler, and I think you even had problems, if I remember, probably with, was it even back then, I guess, we had China or Korea or something. We had issues with that. It was a world war, that's why it was World War II. World War I was in the Asian part of the globe, but then when World War II came around, it was what people remember as Nazi Germany, but they also had the problems with Stalin as well. But the purpose was, back then, the people in the free world weren't doing like they do now. And I hope I can clarify what I'm trying to say. But the people in the free world then were fighting for the same cause. Like, if you watch Hogan's Heroes, and I'm sure this was true, you had the United States, you had England, and you had France, and you had other countries, I'm just using as examples, and probably even some Germans that were all fighting for the same cause, and that cause was freedom for the world. Not just for the free world, but for the people who disagreed with this, with Nazi Germany, what was going on. The belief of Adolf Hitler that he believed of a pure race, which meant killing all the Jews off, genociding a whole entire race, and doing other destructive things. People didn't say, nowadays, I was thinking about this on the way home. This is so true, folks. If the same people that we have in our country, the same people who are now putting their beliefs in ISIS, that, hey, these people aren't terrorists, they're just misunderstood. I mean, that's what we have in our country right now. Imagine if that happened back in World War II. We had this same mind frame around the world, which that's also a problem, where what's going on now in our country and other countries, where, the Germans are, the Nazi Germans, they're actually misunderstood. You don't understand, the reason they're killing all the Jews off, why they want to genocide this race, is because they're destroying everybody else's, way of living. And their religion. They keep not their religion, but they keep their trading with their own own community. Is that the right word? I don't know. They're just misunderstood. They have every right. I mean, I hate to say it. It seems really exaggerated, but really think about this, folks. You have a society out there now who, thank goodness, these people weren't alive back during 1943 to 1946? Let's see. Because I even forget. Let's see. September 1st, 1939. I apologize. To September 2nd, 1945 was the period of World War II, Nazi Germany, and the other things going on around the world. Now imagine these same people, though, today, back in that time period that I just mentioned, saying the same stuff that they are now saying towards ISIS, how they're misunderstood, and then having Americans or other people in other countries fleeing their countries to help in their cause. What if these people were the same people now that are going over to help ISIS become ISIS members? Other countries, the Americans doing that. If they did that back during World War II, I'm sure there was probably maybe some. I kind of doubt it, but I'm sure there was probably a few flakes out there. But on the level that you see them nowadays, I seriously doubt it. I really do, because bottom line is, we would have never won the war. We would have never won the war. We would have been at today's time, if it was 1939 to 1945 was what I said. Let me check. I already forgot. Yeah, 1939 to 1945. If that mentality rate was today, was back then as it is today, we would have all been speaking probably German. We wouldn't have to worry about speaking, being politically correct or speaking Spanish. No, our native tongue would have probably been German. And we would have been, under the laws of the Third Reich. But thank goodness there's enough people who believed in freedom. Making sure this is going. I sometimes don't know what's going on with my thing when I have it on the side like I do my computer for recording this stuff. Yeah, we would have been part of the Third Reich. The only good thing about that was you probably wouldn't even had ISIS, because the Third Reich would have demolished them as well. I'm being sarcastic. But yeah, this is why it's really scary that, the point is, and I probably didn't really do a good job of explaining why I respect, not that I agree with them, I'm just saying I respect these people of ISIS, not that the fact that they can get people in the free world to think like they do, or in other countries to think like they do, free countries, countries that have some sort of a half-ass backwards democracy. No, that's not why I respect them. The reason that I respect them, this is why I'm saying this, this is the only reason I'm saying this, is because they can agree, and I'm trying to think of the right word, where they can actually form a nation of some sort, even though it's a half-ass backwards one, that they can come to an agreement, a mutual agreement to work together. Now, that's because they all believe in the same cause, just like the Third Reich did. The people in the Third Reich, they all believed in the same cause, too. But how they lost, though, they were overpowered. Well, they also probably lost funds, I guess. Well, that's what happened with Russia, I believe. Russia, actually, they lost, if I remember correctly. Matt, you can correct me, but I'm not trying to be politically correct. It's me just giving my opinion. Russia, basically, they were pretty much, in my words, they kind of went bankrupt, where what was formerly known as the Soviet Union, trying to keep up with the U.S. We thank Reagan for. Reagan. Yes, we do. We thank Reagan for that one. Thank you, Reagan. And that was a good thing. But why we won World War II was because we had people that worked with us, not against us, but worked with us. Nowadays, if we had the people in the world that we have now, back then in World War II, you wouldn't have countries coming together, or people of these countries saying, that's where that whole thing came. What, Rosie the Riveter and stuff, where people, men, women, even other, nationalities, whatever you want to say, if you want to say African Americans, we all came together for one cause. And we were all fighting for the same cause. We were fighting for our freedom. Nowadays, we're fighting against each other, and they're loving this ISIS and stuff because they are probably thriving on this. I don't even have to second guess it. Yeah, they are probably 100%. They are thriving on this because all they have to come in as we are destroying ourselves, and you have these people saying, "Oh, well, you're being sexist, you're being racist against us," and we're fighting amongst each other. We're not even coming into a mutual agreement to work together. What ends up happening is, we're going to end up destroying ourselves or making ourselves so. I'm trying to think of the way to say the word right because I'm not very good on pronouncing words. I have in my head vulnerable. That we're going to be so susceptible. We're going to be caught with we already are. We're going to be caught with our pants down. That all they have to do is come in here, and it would be an easy, clean sweep just to wipe out most of the U.S. And it wouldn't even be a struggle. It won't be a struggle whatsoever. That's the part, though, that is beyond scary to me. So, and I could probably prove that in many different ways. Many, many different ways. Unfortunately, I'd rather be wrong. But at this point, I mean, it's like a bad comedy. It's like almost like a bad horror movie, like a farce of anything, where you have, the police investigating, which was obviously terrorist in our country, and they go in and they investigate it. And then they just basically turn the other cheek and walk away. That's in layman's terms, but that's basically what happened. And I mean, again, it's like it's a bad comedy, but it's for real. And people are so wrapped up and so concerned about hurting somebody's feelings or being disrespectful because they don't believe in the same religion we do, and other really sad, pathetic reasons that our country has fallen apart. And I mean, I read so many different articles between the BS ones that basically were trying to make fun of celebrities or whatever, or making April Fool's jokes that were just plain ridiculous and just basically goofy. That, I don't know. I mean, it's honestly, in my opinion, hey, everybody wants to, not, I'm always told, I need to think more seriously or take more responsibility, but obviously nobody else wants to. And, they don't care that they're constantly getting caught with their pants down. So, and I'm going to actually try to go through a couple of these stories because they are very, very, very disturbing. And all local ones, too. Everything from somebody at some employment place punching out a cop down to a woman over the King of Prussia Mall stealing somebody's baby. A total stranger that some woman trusted her child with, an infant. I mean, it's just like you can't be for real. These can't be real stories. These got to be made up. Hey, it's what do you call that? An April Fool's joke, right? Yeah, I hate to tell you, no, it's not. It's for real. People are really that naive, that stupid. This is our country. I mean, you just should put, like, in the front of our, on our map, you should put a big mat on top of the USA and say, welcome. We're not going to stop you. If you want to come to our country and destroy it or, drain it dry, go right ahead because we're not going to stop you. There's nobody going to stop you. Because we're too afraid to tell you what we really think because we don't want to offend anybody. That's exactly what it is. And, when this all got started for me on this whole situation. I'm just checking my levels. when I heard this segment, that is for real. It's not a joke. And everything, like if I try to say something seriously to some of the people I know, they turn it into a joke. They think it's funny. And it's like, well, okay, you laugh when these ISIS people, because they were found even, I know there was like some groups being stirred up in somewhere in New York and even somewhere parts in Pennsylvania. When they come by and they hold a machete to your head and they cut off your head, and see how much you find that funny then. Or you think, well, I'm really tough because I'm in a gang, I'm a part of a gang. They're not going to F with me. And it's like, well, you say that when these people, again, this is the part I respect. They know they don't, you don't know how they're going to attack because they don't go in militant form. They can blend in to any culture. They've already proven that anywhere in the world they can blend into their surroundings, and they can become part of these refugee or whatever you call them. I can't even think these groups, the migrants. They can blend right in with them. And nobody's going to stop them. Nobody has stopped them. And other ones are so well educated, so well spoken, and they blend in so well. They start families. They settle down. All just they are actually more cleverly, in my opinion, organized. Probably because they know what they need to do to get their mission done. Not that I believe in it, but they know what to do. They know exactly how to do it, how to gain people's trust. I mean, don't you call that pretty freaking clever? And they've been very successful with it so far, in my opinion. So, because of just sheer stupidity in our world, in our country, and other parts of the world too. So that part I have respect for. The only way you're going to defeat people like this is by what we did in World War II, in my opinion. And instead of fighting against each other, instead of segregating each other from one another, or in other countries doing the same thing, you got to work together. You got to stand up as, what is that old saying? Because that doesn't exist anymore. I was thinking about this, too, in our country. Whatever happened to that saying, one nation under God? Well, you can't even say the word God anymore because that's disrespectful to what? The Muslims. So it's being disrespectful. You have to watch what you say. You have to be politically correct. But there is no common ground amongst any of us. We are all completely segregated. And we just destroy one another. We destroy, like, an example that I always like to use, they destroy the white male in this country. They just, they're the ones that used to be the backbone, the main part of who was fighting World War II, were all the men. Now you're weakening the men, making them patsies or not be able to speak up for themselves, being that they are always discriminated upon everybody else. So you've already destroyed a strong army force, or not just, the military force, by just destroying the men in there, because they no longer, you weaken that from the inside out by, you got to be politically correct with the military. You can't discriminate upon somebody. If a woman wants to join, they should be able. And I know this from years ago, folks, because I actually did sign up unintentionally, but I did sign up for the military. And you're going to probably say, well, what do you mean by unintentionally? Trust me, I wasn't the only one. Other people did, too. They got suckered into it. Because I was scratching my head after I heard two guys say, yeah, I can't believe I signed up for the military for 8 years. They don't even know how they did it, because they had a recruiting officer who was so good, it was a woman, that she basically made her quotas by suckering people to sign on the dotted line, and she got a lot of guys to do that. And they didn't realize until it was too late that there was at the point of no return, that it was like, wait a minute, I think I just did something I really did not want to do, and that was what it was. So, but what they did was, the military, and I remember this from, like, when my oldest brother was in the military back in the early 80s, and the way it is now, they changed it a lot. Like, you were not allowed to touch. That was not the case when my brother was in the military. But you're not allowed to physically touch new recruits in boot camp. They watered down boot camp because it's basically, I like to call it co-ed, but, because you have men and women in the same, probably in the same thing, so they had to cut back on how difficult the military was, just to be fair to the women, but yet women can do the same exact thing that men can do. Like, they could, if they can do the same job, or they can go through the same boot camp, which was a bunch of bullshit. But that all changed from when my brother went in until when I signed up. Now, I knew I couldn't even handle with it watered down. I knew that for a fact, but they did water it down. And then they just have that whole thing about discrimination against gay men. Well, before, it was like, what was that? Like, it was basically, you don't disclose if you're a homosexual, because you're basically doing it for your own safety, but you're also making other men, when you come out and saying you're gay, you're making other men feel uncomfortable, but that's okay. It's okay to make other men feel uncomfortable being in the same barracks as somebody who probably thinks you're might be sexually attracted to you. I don't care if they are or not, but that's what's going to make the other people. You're just, again, you're destroying the military from the inside out. So we don't have a military anymore. We never did. Well, for years, a real military. I feel bad. I mean, I feel bad for saying it, but it's the truth. And then it just gets worse. It's like a disease, or like cancer, where it starts out small, but then it spreads and it gets bigger until it finally destroys, the person. It kills them. And that's what's happened in our country. It started from the inside out. And so, ISIS can come right in, and they can just basically, they're not going to have much of a struggle. I'll tell you that much. I hate to even admit to that on a podcast, because who knows who's going to listen to it. But it's true. You have you have basically such a weak country that it's barely holding together at this point. There's nothing holding this country together anymore, because we're all so worried about being politically correct. But that's why we, at this point, we will lose, like other countries have lost. And the only way you've changed this situation, is the same way ISIS is, be able to get as far as they did, is because they work together. They work in unity. That's the word I'm thinking, unity. Do you think that they would be as strong if you had people in these Muslim countries not cooperating with each other, not, basically being on the same page, so to speak? If the women would say, well, listen, we want our equal rights, and you know what? We don't feel that you're treating so-and-so equally the same. This is discrimination. So we're going to holler or scream discrimination or harassment or sexual harassment. How well do you think that if those armies thought the same way we did in the U.S. or in other countries, if they thought the exact same way we did, how long would you think ISIS would last? Probably not that long at all. But that's what they are fighting against. Literally, they're fighting against a bunch of patsies. Definitely in the U.S. and definitely in other countries. We are basically signing our own death certificate at this point, because we do, all we look for is the fault in others, and how we are all being so mistreated and disrespectful and things like that. And all we're doing, for one thing, we've ruined our economy by just giving everything away, not finding or getting people to contribute, but basically nowadays demanding things because they expect it given to them. Like they don't. What was that one thing I said before? A friend at work said at my job. He says people no longer. They don't work for what they have. It's like it's owed to them almost. I forget exactly what he said, but it's almost like, I don't need to work for this. And I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding too, because this is no joke. But there was a thing where somebody just the other day, it was around the Philly area, not in Philadelphia, it was outside the suburbs where I live, where somebody right out of their driveway at a suburban home, right out of their driveway, I think they had a Mercedes-Benz. Their car was stolen right out of their driveway. And I remember the word. People are now entitled to this stuff. They don't need to work for it anymore. They're entitled to it. So, just because this one person had a Mercedes-Benz, well, maybe you own it, but I'm entitled to this. I don't need to get a job to buy this Mercedes-Benz. I'll just take yours because I'm entitled to it. I'm the one who's been mistreated all my life, not you. You're just a spoiled brat, so I should take what's yours because it should really be mine. That's the mind frame. And, I mean, I'll find that story maybe tonight, maybe not. I don't know yet. And, I mean, another example was kind of funny. We have these neighbors behind us. They're like hillbillies. They're like probably a step below pine scum. And I know they do whatever they damn well please, and nobody stops them. Nobody. They do whatever they want to do. So I didn't know how far they pushed their luck before until just recently, because the other day they did it on Easter, actually, and then they did it again just the other day when I was sick. We opened the windows, and the whole house was filled with smoke. They were burning things you're not allowed to burn. They were burning during the week, and they were burning when it was raining out. I think it was sometime this week when I was sick. So my father he had enough of these people doing whatever they damn well please. He called the police department and the cops. The cops and the police were over there. They did not have the right, I guess you have to get a permit to burn and everything. They didn't have any permit. They were just doing it because they felt like they were entitled to do whatever they wanted to do. So they were over there for a while, and we looked at our back, our window facing their yard. And finally, they gave in, these people. They finally got a hint that, listen, you can't do whatever you want to do. And they finally put out the fire. They got in trouble for it. So my father told our next-door neighbor, who she said she's had problems with these neighbors because they also have these very, very dangerous dogs. They have a ton of dogs. One of them was one of their kids. It's a really big. It's the size of a pony. It's a dog. It's the size of a pony, and it's like those dogs you always hear about. I don't think it's a Doberman Pinscher, but it's one of those dogs that you always hear about on the news ripping some kid apart. Well, that's what this dog is, but it's the size of a small pony. And the dog is so big and so strong, it's actually knocked. They have a metal fence around, one of those wired fences around their yard. The dog's actually knocked it almost halfway down, to the point that our next-door neighbor is petrified to go out in her yard. She's actually asked politely these neighbors in the back of us, would you mind kind of tying up your dog, because this dog is he's gonna jump the fence. He's already tore half the fence down. It's just like one step away of him getting out of the fence. So their response was, by the way, why don't you go mind your own business? That was their response. That's very, very, shows you, sense of entitlement. So if that dog gets out and kills somebody, well, we should be mind your own business. I've lived here in this area my whole life. That's almost 50 years. These people came out of I don't know where. And since their sense of entitlement, they were home. I was home sick. This was like at 12:30 in the afternoon they were burning. They were all home. They weren't home from work. This was during the week. I know that much. They were home because they don't have jobs. And yet they buy whatever they want. They do whatever they please. And if you ask them politely, listen, we don't feel comfortable. Your dog's like, oh, well, go mind your own business. It's none of your business what we do. Well, if your dog kills us, yeah, I think it is kind of our business. If somebody seriously gets hurt, and you hear about that on the news all the time. This is my backyard. You can't even say, well, it's not around you. Yeah, it's my backyard. I mean, it's walking distance. It's on our property line. That fence is on our property line. So that's another thing. But, hey, sense of entitlement. Do whatever you want to do. So, again, open invitation to ISIS and other terrorists to whatever they want to do. Nobody's going to stop you. Come right in. Welcome mats out. So, because we're too busy fighting amongst each other, amongst ourselves. And this is the truth, folks. This is the absolute truth. So, the only way you stop terrorist people like this from overseas, from coming over here, and from other countries destroying our country and destroying our economy, because everybody who comes from another country, not only ISIS, but from other countries, they flock in our country knowing that they're going to get free health benefits, free food stamps, free housing, free the right to vote right away, probably, which they're trying to push for. They're getting everything just handed to them. They don't have to do a thing for it. They can sit on their ass, get nice and fat, and basically just, basically depend on government. We can't, but they can. So, God, it's just like, again, it's an open welcome mat. Do whatever you want to do. We're not going to stop you. We just want your votes. That's all we care about. We don't care how we're destroying the country. And unfortunately, that's the absolute truth. So anyway, I'm going to start digging up some of these stories, I guess. But yeah, that's why, again, my friend Matt, he did give me some stuff. I just figured this this is more important. This is really important. And again, the only reason I said that I have respect for ISIS, just to reiterate that, is because these people know how to at least have a common theme amongst themselves, and they stick with it. They're not fighting against each other. They're actually working together to get what they believe in finished. Now, I'm not saying it's right, but if this same mentality rate of others, instead of fighting against the wrong, if we did that back in during World War II, I'm not going to even say Nazi Germany, but during World War II, you would have had a toss-up between Stalin and Germany. You would have had a toss-up between Russia or the USSR telling us what to do, or Nazi Germany. So, thank goodness back then people had more, more respect for themselves and definitely more respect for each other. I mean, I was over the mall, I think, was it today? Yeah, it was today. No, yesterday and the day before. And all I ever get is like, and that's another thing, it's an open invitation. Like, you wonder why, even I was mentioned about some woman had her child stolen from the King of Prussia Mall. And it was around this place called Fishbone, which I was over there just yesterday. I was over there returning something at that same entrance where that Fishbone is now. And all I see is when a person sees you, especially the women over there, what do? If you're not like some type of person who looks like, I'm trying to even think of the right word, some like type of ghettoed out person or whatever, they automatically bury their head in a cell phone, or they just turn the other way like you're not even there because they can't be bothered by you. Well, you know what? That's exactly what ISIS wants you to do. They want you not to be paying attention. They want you to ignore them, because while you're turning the other cheek and pretending they're not even there, before you know it, your head's going to be on your lap. It's going to be on the ground, between your legs, on the ground. Or they're just going to put a bullet through your head. Because, it's an easy kill. Do they care if you're black? Do they care if you're white? Do they care if you're Latino? Do they care if you're... that they do. Do they care if you're gay, straight, Christian? I hate to tell you, no, not really. Because in their eyes, you're all of the above are enemies to them. So to them, you're all in the same. We're all in the same boat. There is no, they see us all as all of us need to die. Bottom line. And for those who act like they're hoods or try to be into a gang, do you think that's going to stop them from wait a minute, I'm too scared of this person? No, that's we don't care. We just want you. We want everyone in this place we call the United States. We want everyone dead. We don't want any of them to survive. We don't care if you try to be a bleeding heart liberal. Do you think they want to make an exception? Well, the liberals in the United States really try to stick up for us. They try to stick up for our beliefs and our rights. You think they care? No, they're going to kill you just as quickly as they would kill a Republican. There's no difference. But yet people think that this is going to save their lives. Hate to tell you, no, it's not. I'm trying to think of something else. And here's and if they see you because you want your privacy, so you have your windows blacked out, you think that's going to stop them from shooting out your windows and still killing you? They send suicide bombers just to kill as many people. They don't spend the time to say, well, this person's got blacked out windows, or this person's got a lot of money, or this person's homosexual, or this person's a woman. We want her to have her equal rights. They don't give two shits. They don't care who you are. If you're an American, that's all they see. They see an American, they want them dead. But unfortunately, we live in a country, people are so freaking blind, they can't see the truth. They just see what they want to see. They think they're doing the right thing, basically. The whole thing is just really sad. That's the bottom line. It is beyond sad. And, but hey, all you're really doing, honestly, is you're giving an open invitation for these other countries just to, take us down, and it's going to be no struggle, no fight, because we are just so weak as a nation. And that's the truth, folks. I'm still trying to dig through these stories, by the way. I haven't really done a good job. So, because I have some. There was one I was going to mention on 4/22. There was actually, it said 17 hours ago, and this was not a joke. This is for real. But it's around the King of Prussia area, King of Prussia Mall. King of Prussia Mall was built on a sinkhole, at least a quart of the King of Prussia was, which eventually it's going to give out. I thought it would have by now. Would have. But on 4/22, one of the there was a sinkhole area there, and the road did give out. Just a side note real quick. But, I want to focus on my main issue tonight, how people are so stupid. Another one, I wish I could find this, but this is when I was sick. This was a couple days ago. So it's really buried now. There was this really, it hit, I think the Daily UK, it hit everywhere. From Philadelphia, where a bunch of 9 and 8-year-olds were on a train, little smart-ass kids, cursing and hollering and screaming and spitting on fellow passengers on the train. I think it was a train. But it is a true story. So some guy videotaped it, and the kid, this little kid, was telling, what the fuck's your problem, like that. Using profanity like that, even worse what I just said. So, and the kid was starting fights with this guy, and the guy said, hey, little man, you better watch yourself. You're going to get yourself seriously injured. Now, if these ISIS people were intermixed with our crowds of people, and they saw these kids, do you think that kid's tongue would still be in these kids, these little kids that were mouthing off to these adults, and you did the same thing to these ISIS people, do you think their tongues would even be in their mouths at all anymore? Do you think their head would be on their neck anymore? Because if you remember correctly, I do, there were stories where these kids from over in the Middle East, for no reason at all, were getting their heads cut off at the same age. So that's another thing. This arrogance, you think this is going to, put an armor shield around these the people of the U.S. But when push comes to shove, your arrogance, your pompousness, your ignorance is only the thing it's going to do is it's going to get you killed a lot quicker. You're not thinking, people don't think smart in this country any longer. They think impulsively, unfortunately. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm going to try to, maybe the only way I'm going to be able to dig through these stories is by digging through the ones that aren't on the subject I'm talking about. And that being said, there was one from the morning call. It said the police released the results of an investigation to a fatal Route 222 car crash in Upper, looks like McGinnon or something. I can't tell, but 5 people got killed. And there's only a small part of the car left in this car accident, like the back end, a wheel in the back bumper, and part of the back window. That's all that's left. I can't pronounce that. Upper McCollin or something township? I don't know. It's on 222, and it says 5 people were killed, headed home. It was caused by the driver of the car making an unsafe, people don't use turn signals anymore, but I guess making a cut into a lane unsafely. My father got in an accident tonight. This is no joke. Not this one. Says something about was driving some woman, Barbara Bruno Rodin, whatever, was driving her 4 coworkers home from a shift March 2nd when she chose to move over to the right lane on 222 near Route 100 on a ramp. Now, I almost got killed. I mentioned this a million times. I never hear a response. I never hear a response to anything. I almost got killed with somebody not using a turn signal and cutting over multiple lanes. It was a woman, and where I almost flipped my car. Now, this is probably something like this, but I get my guess because it looks like it. Upper, with this township, because I can't pronounce it, it's M-A-C, like Mac, C-U-N, Cun, G-I-E, G. Oh, Macungie. I'm sorry, Macungie Township. Police believe that she nearly merged into the path of a vehicle already traveling in the right lane and trying to avoid the other vehicle. Bruno Rodin made a tragic mistake. The 30-year-old overcorrected and lost control of her car, which spun across the median and into the path of a southbound tractor and trailer. I'm sorry. I get that off my father. He says tractor and trailer. I meant tractor trailer. The fiery crash that followed killed all 5 Allentown residents in the car. So, you know what? You don't cut. You see, the thing is, it sounds like this woman cut somebody off a tractor trailer. There's no way that the tractor trailer can stop on the dime when somebody cuts you off unexpectedly. So they pretty much got ran over or ran off the road, and the car went up in flames, and the people in the car from this woman's mistake got herself and everybody else killed. That's the bottom line. Anyway, what I was saying was, now my father has this issue. I've said this to my friend Matt. He's heard me say this a million times. My dad is the worst freaking driver in the world. I don't know what happened to him, but he's the worst driver. He likes to drive really fast and then slam on his brakes constantly, and then he yells about people the way they drive, but then he uses his 4-ways to get people to back off of him. You don't play games when you drive a car. It's a brand new car, too. He's leasing it. But he has a constant thing where he just slams on the brakes so much that my neck starts to kill me after a while from whiplash. I mean, literally from my neck jolting back and forth. So I'm not saying this is the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was, where he actually had somebody who accidentally, probably because my dad, I'm sure, got him off guard, and he probably did something like that, where he slams on the brakes constantly. Like her go real fast and slam. Like when you're a new driver and you try to figure out the difference between the gas pedal and the brake. Well, that's the way my dad drives. Like you keep on like jerking the car. He does that all the time. So somebody ran right in the back of him, and they said the guy accidentally hit the gas pedal instead of the brake. Well, you know what? If you have somebody who's in front of you, who's constantly jerking their car around, yeah, it's going to make you nervous. Now, they said the guy was limping when he got out of the car to go over to my parents, and he felt really bad about it. It was like, well, probably it could have been even after the incident that he hit your car. So they had to do a police report on everything tonight. My mom was all shaken up, and she was saying, no, this guy couldn't even walk. It was like, well, yeah, if you get in an accident, trust me, you're not going to be walking very straight. No offense. So I don't know the whole situation. I usually am not negative towards, well, yeah, I am negative to my parents. What am I kidding? So anyway, there was that. Here's an interesting story. I'm trying to just dig down to the interest. These stories are just showing you what kind of people we have exist in our society. This was on PX11. A woman said a man grabbed her, called her a terrorist, and slashed her in the face at a busy intersection. Now, get this, hours after the attack, she told police there was, in fact, no suspect on the loose, and the reason was the woman claiming she was slashed in Lower Manhattan had actually cut her own face. So she made the whole thing up. So that's another thing, this whole victimization thing. I'm telling you about this. These terrorists got to love this. It's like, God, you got a bunch of people who will just attack one another. We don't even have to come into this country. We're just going to come in after everything's, after the dust settles and there's nobody alive because, these idiots in this country are just killing themselves anyway. We don't have to do anything. We have to do very little, if anything. And that's not far from the truth. That's the sad point. So, oh, yeah, I don't think this was a joke either. Again, you can't tell these stories, but this was on Fox News. Yeah, normally they will say at the very end, this is a joke. I wish it was. I hope it is. But it was from Fox News and First Friends. Now, usually I'm looking at the ones I saved on my Facebook page, these articles. I just send them right to Facebook when I find articles to talk about. The FCC is expanding the Obama phone program to include the internet now. So those people without jobs who get the Obama phones at the, probably cut rate of $10 a month will now also be able to access internet capability as well. Another free thing from the government, I don't care how crappy it is, but guess who ends up, because it is going to be really crappy, trust me. But guess whose pockets that hospitality comes out of? Our taxes. So just to give you a heads up. So it might be shitty service, but it's coming out of our pocket either way. So you should be really proud about it. We're more concerned about stuff like that again. That's more important. We got to make sure we accommodate people who don't have any desire to, get a job or work, because that's our responsibility. So, and I believe that one. I don't think that's made up. I think that's for real. Yeah, here's another one. It was actually last night. Tragic accident occurred Friday early morning yesterday in Hatfield. One person is dead after the accident in Hatfield Township on Friday morning. Excuse me, to a police. No, this is not one of these. This is from the Patch. This is actually from, it's patch.com. Accident occurred around 5 a.m. near Welsh and 40-foot roads in Philly on Philly.com. One unidentified victim was killed in the crash, which involved two vehicles, the reports state. There are 2 injuries. The incident currently under investigation. So that's another thing. And you see so many people, I've said this before, with these high beams on. Apparently that's the big thing now. That a lot of more people are driving all the time with their high beams on. And I'm telling you, the reason for it is because majority of the cars I've seen, sorry about that today, that I saw on the road, I see them every day, have completely blacked out windows. There's no way you can see through these windows at all. But yet, that doesn't what do you call it? Affect my vision. Yeah, right. Anyway, that story, I found one of them. There was like different segments to one up during the course of the last couple days. This one was from the Times Herald, where they caught the woman who had stolen somebody's baby from the King of Prussia Mall. And ironically, it looked like this woman, because she was trying to dodge police. It was another one of these people, probably doesn't have a job, but she had a brand new car, nice and brand new SUV. Breaking news, Shuri Amor had been arrested on kidnapping charges related to the kidnapping of a 7-week-old Ashmar Simmons at the King of Prussia Mall Thursday evening. Woman accused of kidnapping the 7-week-old from King of Prussia Mall to be arraigned. Upper Marion. The woman accused of kidnapping, it just says the same thing over and over again. But yeah, that story was posted throughout the last 2 days or something like that. Again, never a disappointment around here. And again, these are people who are entitled to do whatever they want to do with nobody there to stop them, because if you do, you're at wrong, not them. So here is one actually on that same story. This was from actually 6 ABC News, where they actually do one of these O.J. Simpson car chases with this woman. And again, you can tell the car she was driving was a very expensive car. So, this black woman. Excellent news at 10:27. Upper Marion Police reported the 7-week-old Asher or whatever, Ashir Simmons had been found safe. One woman in custody. Watch police check vehicle leaving the parking lot after 7-week-old boy was kidnapped. Now, I was over there yesterday. I was over at the King of Prussia Mall. The cops were still there right at that door, which if you've seen the pictures on the news at the King of Prussia Mall, is a door near that fishbone. Was the same door I went through today, and I actually commented to a friend. I said, yeah, there's a cop car right outside the doorway. I didn't realize they didn't fully, like, all the cops didn't fully leave because of this incident. It just happened. I didn't realize. I had taken it for granted, actually. So, there you go. So I'm kind of just going to glance through these stories because a lot of these were kind of bogus stories. But the stories I mentioned, I'm pretty sure these are, well, yeah, they're legit. Trust me. Oh, no, they're not, Walter. How do you know they're legit? Trust me, they're legit. Newspapers always do print bullshit, so it wouldn't be that far from the truth if they would make up a what do you call it, an April Fool's story, because all of them are a joke. The stories they print, they print what they want you to see, not what's the truth. Yeah, there's some entertaining stories I had in the mix. I'm not going to even go into full detail. These were from different, I think they're from Dream and Demon. 2 of them are. Wife shoots husband in the balls during an argument over alleged affair. And there was another one, drunk mom arrested. She let sex offender tattoo her underage kids. That was another one. These aren't the stories I really wanted to mention, though. That's unfortunate. Now, these are the same people that if ISIS ever came into the country, they have to worry about. And I mean not worry about, actually. So, Some other ones were Leanna Wright beat to death for drinking her brother's juice. That was another dreaming demon. On a lighter note, for one split second, Lady Gaga marries longtime boyfriend Taylor Kinney. Basically, they eloped or something like that. Now, here's one that is just not with... Hey, I love Lady Gaga. I can't say anything that bad. I don't believe in her politics. She's a little bit crazy, but, I can put that aside a little bit. This one is, talk about a farce. A friend sent this to me, and I didn't pay attention to it, and it got reposted again. Now, get this, from the New York Daily News. Warning, it's a video, which I can't do much more than explain. Some idiot, some black guy, he's... try to be real cool. He's talking that Ebonics, like you don't know what he's actually saying, because I'm not trying to be offensive. You can take it that way, then that's on you, not me. But he truly is. He's got the whole, whole get-up on to try to look like he's really tough. He's videotaping himself with his phone, but this guy was a total moron because, it says, warning graphic, a Chicago man was in the middle of a Facebook video live stream when the camera caught him being shot by an assailant on the street. So this guy's trying to be like real hip, real cool, gangster-like, like talking Ebonics and being really cool. And it is really disturbing because this guy's trying to be like show-offy, and he's doing a live stream on Facebook, and he gets shot. And the guy's laying there on the ground. You don't know what's happening because when he gets shot, he drops his phone doing this live video stream. And then you hear some woman coming out screaming, like, get an ambulance or something. This guy is, like, shot. I don't know if he died or something. I'll have to look into it. Yeah, the man that the store behind him had to open it up because he needed somewhere to duck and hide for cover. But he did. He got shot. He was on the ground. So, I mean, that's just... This, again, is why I'm saying ISIS has nobody... They just have to sit back and let these idiots basically destroy themselves. Probably us in the process. Chicago teen from anti-violence and was shot by stray bullet. The man in a White Sox cap joked in his video that the owners of the store had to open it up because he needed somewhere to duck and hide for cover. Well, he got shot for real. So I wish I was making that up. I really wish that. Well, actually, I don't care if it was. Actually, I hope it was for real. What am I saying? Because the more people that are as dumb as this guy was, the more that there's idiots out there like that, the better off we are if they do themselves in from their own stupidity of trying to act cool. But yeah, I have there's a picture up on the original article was on March 31st, so it really was only 2 days ago, about that woman. She got caught on the surveillance camera walking out the door from the King of Prussia Mall, the same door I actually entered today. I didn't even know there was a surveillance camera there, and now I do, and I take it for granted because I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't really care about it also. Now get this, because this is around where I work. Now get this. This is hilarious. I found this story. Actually, a friend Matt found it. My one friend, Little Matt, I call him. Matt Harfman, which I actually saw him at my job. He's a great dude, but he knows where to find local stories that just you'll find the most amount of entertainment. It was on the Reporter News from Lansdale. So thank you, Matt Harfman, for this story. Police story says Merck kitchen worker punched colleague, fought with cops. He actually knocked out a cop. Upper Gwinnett, a 47-year-old kitchen worker at Merck, is behind bars for allegedly threatening and tussling with Upper Gwinnett cops who responded to a pharmaceutical company Monday morning after the man punched a co-worker in the face during an argument according to police. Now, I thought he punched out a cop, so I told my friend Matt that. I think I might have got nothing new for me. I probably got it wrong. But, yeah, he did fight with the cops, so he ended up in jail. Patrick Kennard Howard of 5100 block of Ludlow Street in Philadelphia has been charged with felony aggravated assault, misdemeanor counts of simple assault, terrorist threats, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest, and a summary harassment in connection with an alleged incident. Sorry about that. I knew that was gonna work. Sorry, I was trying to download. It didn't work. So, yeah, Upper Gwinnett Police said in a criminal complaint filed in the district court that officers were dispatched to Merck around 8:20 a.m. on March 28th for an assault that had occurred 5 minutes prior, to which Howard punched a colleague in the area of his mouth after a verbal confrontation. So I apologize, Matt, for getting that wrong for you. There is more. I really don't want to read the whole thing. It's just whatever. I'll cut to the chase. It says Howard was arraigned on Monday afternoon before Whit-Pain District Judge Robert Schubeck, then committee to he was committed to Montgomery County Correctional Facilities after failing to post his $25,000 cash bail. He couldn't make his bail of $25,000. I couldn't make $25,000. I just borrowed money from the bank to pay off some of my debts, and that wasn't even that much. It was up there, but not quite that much. Close, but not that much. So, yeah, the guy couldn't make his bail. Should it be shocked? Probably not. Yeah, I had a story. I'm just going to go through these because now it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Story, because these are stories going back because I've been sick, folks. So now I'm not sick, Sex tapes involving 2 students at Pembroke Pines Charter School investigated by police. Pembroke Pines police are investigating child pornography case involving students at a Renaissance charter school at Pine, authorities had stated. Now, here's the one on Mercedes-Benz I was talking about. I did find that one. I mentioned this. Again, this is a sense of entitlement. People are entitled to this stuff. They should get what they want. It says, that was from the Times Herald. Cops, Mercedes stolen in White Marsh, pinged in Philadelphia. So, obviously, when you have an expensive car, there's a way, like, I guess one of those, I forget what you call those systems, a tracking device to track down the car. Oh, I just lost it now. I apologize. See if I can find it again. Let's try to hit some other, oh, here we go. Thank goodness. White Marsh, a 2015 Mercedes-Benz ML350 was reported stolen from a driveway in the 600 block of Ellis Court at 7 a.m. March 25th. The vehicle's owner had last seen the car at approximately 11:30 p.m. March 24th. The keys were left inside the vehicle along with around $1,200 of miscellaneous items. Well, that's just plain stupidity, too. The vehicle was entered into the National Crime Information Center database, and a tracking device locked in on its location in the vicinity of 200 block of Easy Sydney Street in Philadelphia. Never heard of it. Initial attempt by Philadelphia police to locate the vehicle in that area were unsuccessful, though. Yeah, that's where it ends, I guess, because there's other stories. Now, get this. There's another one where an Audi was stolen out of a driveway, and this was in this is White Marsh. Different date, though, because this was March 22nd. The other one was March 25th, so there's been cars getting stolen. This other one, again, was an Audi this time. This is a one prior to this one with the Mercedes, and it says police responded to the 800 block of Dawnwood Road for a report of a stolen vehicle. The victim told police he parked his black Audi A as in Apple, 8 L as in Lucifer, in his driveway at approximately 6 p.m. March 21st, and his wife had discovered it missing around 7:30 a.m. The victim reportedly left the vehicle unlocked with his house and car keys in the cup holder. God, another idiot. Also, in the vehicle were hard hats, a jumpsuit, safety glasses, and a laptop valued at $1,000. The Audi was entered into the National Crime Information Center Stolen Vehicle Database. So I think these people actually did not get their cars back by the sounds of it. Now, here's another one. I know you're going to find this hard to believe. I'm not going to read all these because there's a whole bunch of list of crimes. Fraudulent Social Security account opened. Wow, what a shock. Need I go further with that one? Do I have to? Probably not, so I won't. So, yeah, you can go down. There's a list of other stories. I'm not going to go into them at this time. But you're welcome to go check them out yourself. I apologize, folks, if I did put up, because I do it as for shits and giggles and for other reasons I cannot mention, and I won't. But I have, as a goof for a while, for my own fun, my own pleasure, so to speak, these spandex fetish sites on Facebook I think are hilarious. And, again, they're good for other reasons, too. Well, so for once in a while, they put up all these pictures of women in spandex, and they went wild. So it was I wasn't paying attention because I'm doing this podcast, and I put up a crap load of spandex fetish pictures, and now it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's more than I even a pervert would even want to have on their, in their possession. It's all clean stuff, trust me. It's nothing that's inappropriate. So, now here's another one. Again, because I don't know even where I stopped. I've been off for so many days. There was a story, I don't even know what it's about. It says, because I have Verizon. If you have Verizon, it says Verizon customers will have to pay extra money the next time they upgrade their phones because Verizon is tacking on an upgrade fee. It's nice to know. There was a story from Fox 29, I'm sorry to say, but a horrific discovery rocks an Upper Darby apartment complex where a woman was found dead in her bathtub. Police say the killer left a message for them. I don't even know if I want to read that one. I probably will leave that up for whoever wants to read it. But this happened in Upper Darby. Woman found dead in her apartment around 5 p.m. Wednesday in Upper Darby. Police were called in to, it says, New Orleans Park apartment in South Avenue, where friends had discovered the body of a 36-year-old woman dead in her bathtub. She was identified as Marquita Benson. The name almost sounds familiar for some reason. Yeah, but she was found dead in her apartment, and she was murdered. So, sorry to say that. But I don't know. People continue just to trust, I guess. I would say to get yourself in a predicament. I'm not saying that's always the case. I lock my doors and windows at night, or my windows to the doors of the house. I don't put much trust. I lock my car up. I do not leave my keys in the car. I definitely lock it. And I don't let strangers in the house or people that are suspicious. But unfortunately, we live in a day that if you don't look suspicious, they won't invite you in the house because they think you are somebody of suspicion. And if you are somebody who looks suspicious, they're going to it's an open invitation to let you into their the privacy of their own home. That's just where we live. Hey, I saw this interesting article, and this is for a friend, Todd. I don't think he said he's going to listen to it, and he gets his cable up next week. So, Todd, if you get this, you might enjoy this, because I don't think you would read it otherwise, because it pertains to Rush Limbaugh, but it has Gene Simmons in it. Rush had put this up last week. Didn't see this coming at all, folks, is basically what he put. And it says, what legendary rocker Gene Simmons said about Trump has Hollywood losing it. So, Gene Simmons from KISS. Many Americans think Donald Trump basically is against illegal aliens and Muslims, invokes unpleasant flashbacks of dictators or memories of high school bullies. That's how people portray him, of Donald Trump. Yet, the New York billionaire, because he is from New York, Donald Trump, has been the GOP, Grand Old Party, frontrunner since his campaign launched in June, because a large segment of the population admire his fearless, tell-it-like-it-is persona. I'm not going to go in the whole thing. You can read this. It was from Rush, got it from Young Conservatives. But rock legend Gene Simmons says he is fascinated by Trump's ability to root out people's feelings and claim the silent majority claims that the silent majority support him. And it goes on, so I won't go. I say enough profanity. I don't need to add any more stories. I do enough on my own. But it goes on to say warning strong language. So obviously Gene Simmons, I can kind of just gloss through the stuff a little bit. Gene Simmons thinks that Donald Trump would make a very honest president, quote unquote. This is from Gene Simmons, folks. So there you go, Todd. During an interview with Rolling Stones, which I got that magazine, by the way. I didn't even order it intentionally, but I got Rolling Stones now, and trust me, I just threw a bunch of them in the garbage can, because Rolling Stones has become, for the most part, the most leftist, liberal magazine. It was never like that. When we were growing up, when I was a kid, my brother got Rolling Stones, and it was never political. You know what Rolling Stones was about? Musicians. Now it's about musicians talking about politics and how, the left is right and the Republicans are wrong. The right is wrong. It's all I've gotten. I got like 4 issues. They all have that same thing: bullying the right and patronizing the left. That's the way I'm going to put it. It's probably not right, but you get the gist. During an interview with Rolling Stone magazine on Wednesday, I didn't know he's not that old. The 66-year-old rock star said the Republican frontrunner was the truest political animal I've ever seen on stage. So basically, I'm not going to go any further, but it seems like I probably didn't say enough to make it make sense to people, but you can see it again. Let me see. Look for a story on Young Conservatives. Rocker Gene Simmons says Trump is good for the political system. I kind of, I've said this, in a roundabout way. I thought Trump would probably be not a bad choice just because he is a moderate. You don't really want a moderate, but in my opinion, you don't want also somebody who's going to be too far left or too far right, because then nothing gets actually accomplished, in my opinion. Hey, I'm entitled to that, right? So, yeah, you can see it on there if you want to read a little bit more. You know what? I might even actually let it go, because I had some other stories, but they get a little bit not probably as interesting. It goes off what I was trying to go for tonight. Because otherwise, I'll just, as a quick note, I did put in, there was a really cool article or news or video I put on my Facebook page from the other day from CNET Videos, and it was basically about Apple's 40th anniversary. iMac G3 launched March 30th at it says 3:06 p.m., but I don't know what year it was. I had one of the G3s back in the day, but they go further back than that. But I guess that's when it became started becoming more mainstream, is actually with the G3s. That's actually after when they fired who was it? Well, I'm drawing a blank. Steve Jobs. When they got him back, that was like one of the big things, actually, was that It was basically the one that looked like a TV set. The G3s, there was different models, but that was the biggest one. It was an all-in-one computer. To basically look like a television set. It was the G3s. So there's a thing on there. I didn't even get to watch it myself yet, so I can't say much about it. I just thought it was pretty cool because I'm running Apples. I still do. I'm sticking on with the Apple still. I have a PC. I don't like it that much. I do it for recording podcasts, but that's all about it's good for. And the one I bought was a collector's item too. The laptop I used for that. So I just want to get my money's worth out of it, which I have. Trust me. By doing these shows, even though I haven't done any for a couple days. Yeah, folks. So I started out like a lion. Like they always. I don't know. Maybe my friend Matt never heard that. They always say like March comes in like a lion and leaves like a lamb. Comes in strong, leaves gentle. And I came in strong tonight, and I'm going to leave gentle. With that Apple story. I think that's good, right? And try not to put any more spandex pictures on my page. I think I put plenty of those tonight. Oh, yeah. You know what? That was funny, folks. Actually, there's two stories now. Some story, there was a video of this guy on the beach, and he's holding a little baby shark. He's holding it up, and he's trying to show off, and the shark bites him in the arm. Like, literally takes a chunk out of the guy's arm. So it's a baby shark, too. And it's classic, the guy's stupid enough to hold a shark. And you hear in this video that they're shooting, these guys are telling this guy, they say, listen, be careful. You don't want that shark too close to you because he'll bite you. And it did. The shark took a big bite out of his arm. A little baby shark, too. So it was that, and there was something about Roxana. Some girl, I don't know where this happened, could spend up to the next 20 years life behind bars. She was just 17, but she plotted to kill her adoptive parents. She stabbed her 12-year-old brother and... This stabbed her 12-year-old brother and tried to, I guess, let's see what this says. She stabbed her 12-year-old brother and tried to stab her younger sister. She wanted to kill them and then run away with her boyfriend. And he played his own part. It says that the despicable thing police say he did as she committed the crimes. So this was a weird story from the other day because I haven't been on. But this girl was like pleading because now she's going to spend, she was, I guess, adopted then, right? But this girl tried to kill her, let's see, did I say adopted? Well, she's going to get 20 years no matter what behind bars, and she was trying to cry her way out of it. And I don't think it worked. I think they're going to give her the 20 years behind bars no matter what. She's 17, means she won't get out until she's like, what, 47? Well, 37 in a row. God, isn't that ironic? She'll be 37 when she gets out. Am I right? She's 20 years. She's 17. That's 37, right? See, my math's really good, isn't it? Don't answer that. No, I don't have a calculator in front of me, really. I can figure that out by myself. In a row, 37, I was right. Let's see. It says, she could spend up to 20 years behind bars. I think she's going to get it. They're not going to give her, they're trying to get her on being mentally unstable, but you know what? That kind of gets old after a while for many people. Should be thrown out, that whole, I plead insanity. That's what everybody does. Let's see. 17 plotted to kill her. Yeah, she was adopted. This adopted kid tried to kill. She had two other siblings. I don't know if they're from the parents or they adopted too, but she tried to kill two other siblings, and then also kill her parents because, I guess her boyfriend, this girl's boyfriend, encouraged her to kill her family, and she was going to do it and run away with him, her boyfriend. And it failed. So now she might spend up to 20 years behind bars. Isn't that great? Oh, here was one. I got to cut this off eventually because it's getting really late. It's actually really early if you want to think of it that way. But some stories, just reading the highlights, New York Daily News, the station's president said that Facebook post about a shooting that killed 5 people showed an ignorant person, ignoramus, lack of judgment. It says anchor fired after Facebook post stereotyping black people. Wendy Bell, who had been with WTAE for 18 years, but was booted from the station Tuesday after anger over her post. I'm glad I'm not an anchor person. I would have been fired by now, too. There was that, and there's another one, opposing views. A teen girl held down her friend while she was raped by multiple men. Then she volunteered to record the incident. Hard as it may seem to believe, that's not the only worst part of this story. So, yeah, this teen girl held down her friend while she was raped by multiple men. Isn't that great? Teen who held friend down while she was raped gets bad news photos. I really don't want to go into a big discussion, but you got to look at the mugshots. I don't really want to say much if you're interested, because I'm afraid anything I would say would just put me to, let me put it this way, it would put me in the same category as that anchor woman who got fired for making a comment. So I'm not going to make a comment on this one. Look on American News. This is a real story where this other girl get raped by her friends. And you can see a picture. There's a mugshot of the guys who raped this innocent bystander, this other girl who was held down by her female friend and these guys who had raped this girl. It's amazing. So if you get a look at it. So, and again, these are the same group of people that if ISIS wants to come in and take over this country, they're not going to have any problems. Really, you might as well. You don't even have to lay down your arms because they're all going to be. Most of us are going to be dead anyway before they even come into this country. I'm just looking at this other story because there's always tons of bizarre stories and plenty of stupid people that are behind them. Buried alive teen girl did reveal who killed her prior to death. With her final dying breath, this buried alive teenage girl told police who killed her. My guess it would have to be through forensics, right? It's the only way I can think of it. A Mississippi teenager who was buried alive might have told police who attacked her before scumbling to her injuries. That's probably what it is. That was on March 29th, by the way. I'm sorry, I keep on moving away. Chambers died a few hours later after she was airlifted to a hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. But despite the fact that she was in excruciating pain and her internal organs were all shutting down, she managed to whisper the name to the first responder, People magazine reported. So, okay, it wasn't a forensics thing. This young girl who got brutally attacked and eventually died, was able to tell a first responder who was the culprit behind it. So if you want to read that, it's on Opposing Views from back on the 29th. It's pretty interesting, actually. Yeah, I could go on, honestly, at this point I could probably go on forever. I got a lot of stories from days ago. But you know what? Again, like I said, even Matt gave me some probably really interesting stories. I just didn't have a time the time at this early in the morning to like look through them. So, that being said, I could probably, that'd be just like more. I would have more stories, but anyway, since it is going on 5 in the morning, I'm gonna stop. Hey, Night Gallery's on, folks. Honestly, it's only 4:30, but still Night Gallery's on. That's more important than me doing this stupid show. Anyway, thanks, folks. I'm sorry I was off for a couple days. My friend Matt mentioned it. I didn't do it because I was truly sick. I'm not like working that hard yet. I just know it's going to happen. They're going to try to throw all the work back on me to do again. And I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to actually almost unconsciously make it that they will put me in a different department just to get out of the one I am, so I don't get stuck doing all this extra work, like actually all the work for the entire building. I don't want that to happen again. I had that happen to me before. I don't want that to happen again. Anyway, I'm starting to lose my voice if I haven't already, so I apologize. Looks like I'm not even at 2 hours tonight. It looks like about over an hour and a half. About an hour and 45 minutes. So that's not bad for a single person like me. Doing this show, I mean. So, hey, that's cool if it is true, if I'm reading this correctly. Matt taught me how to look at the scale and how long I'm actually recording. So thank you for that, Matt. And I'll see what's going on. But thanks again, folks, for listening to me. If you do, and if you find what I, discuss, if you find any interest in what I'm talking about, that's great. Just get other people to kind of tune into. Thanks again. This is Walter, iWalter, on June 2nd. Signing off for now. I might be back again. Who knows? I'm not making any promises later today with Matt. I'm not sure because I know Matt enjoys doing the shows with me, I think. I hope he does because I know I enjoy doing it with him. So thanks again, folks, and have a good morning on April 2nd. Thanks. This is iWalter signing off.